Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Michael Dean Show. My name is Michael Dean, Mr. Know-It-All himself in the building. Joining me today, Mr. I guess if I go by the word on the street, my arch nemesis. But this is my brother. This is my brother QStorms. Sir, how are you?
I'm your arch nemesis?
That's the word on the street, I guess.
Joker to your Batman.
I certainly wasn't thinking anyone was talking about you being my arch nemesis.
Oh, well, hey, you know, every good villain, I guess, has a whole bunch of... Maybe you're the Dr. Doom of our cinematic universe here.
Okay.
Oh, you're Thanos.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I'm surprised anyone's saying that you and I are the ones that go our enemies.
Pause.
Anyway.
If they came to the chat, home of the ball game.
Well, yeah. No, and we want to welcome all of our new chat people, too. We've seen people jumping in the chat. They listen to the show. And let me say now before we go, if you want to get more of this goodness on a daily basis, and why wouldn't you, definitely come to our Discord chat. Link is in the show notes. And you can actually chop it up with us or just, what do they call that? Lurk in the background and watch us go in on each other.
Yes.
Pause. But definitely check out our Discord chat. But anyway, back to QStorm. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing okay. Doing all right. Not much to tell. I guess we're going to get into my business later. But okay.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you brought your business to the forefront. You got a whole hour.
I was thinking the same thing.
No, wait. The last thing I put on the chat was don't nobody want to hear no more about that.
And then we see multiple people on social media asking for updates and all into it. So we're gonna give the people what they want. There we go.
Hey. Dance, clown, dance, Q. Okay.
I'm just saying, you kind of the Kim Kardashian of the group.
Wow. Whoa.
So you put your business out there and then be like, why everybody keep talking about me?
Wow.
Well, see, I unlike Kim Kardashian, I know when to stop.
All right, I'm gonna leave that alone.
Yeah. I ain't saying nothing.
Yeah, there is a lot of levels to that, but I don't want to get into them.
I don't either. I don't think you want to. All right, let's keep it moving. Also, Mr. Amp Pooh, sir, how are you?
I'm doing good. This was a really good week. I have very few complaints.
All right. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Big Sexy and Saxer, how are you?
Well, I got one complaint about this week.
Man, yeah, voice change. I mean, usually, hey, how you doing? I got one. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. We all know that sometimes relationships don't work out. That's a given. But I have this one client, but I'm going to get into it. One client says, man, I want out. Not a problem. We make it happen. Now his ex has been contacting me every day this week. When we sign it. Hold on. It ain't about you. It's about syncing up schedules. When we have the documentation, we'll be in touch. Don't call me again. Damn.
All right.
I hate motherfuckers who I don't represent that call me with bullshit. There it is. I said it.
Got it. All right. Some lawyer talk. We're going to get into some lawyer stuff during this show. We'll get your opinion, expertise, experience. All right. Where should we begin? There's a few things that are new we want to get into. Let's just start right off the top with there's a new docu-series or teledrama. I don't know what the proper word is, but it's called When They See Us. This is about the Central Park. I almost don't want to even use that term, Central Park 5, but it was about that story that happened in the late 80s, New York, where it was a young woman was raped, and it was 5 young African-American boys who went to jail over this and were charged and went through the system and everything. And at the end of the day, many years later, come to find out they had nothing to do with it. They were totally innocent. And this is a 4-part series or movie, limited series by Ava DuVernay. And let me just say right off the bat, my initial impressions after watching this, I stayed up and watched all 4 episodes last night. Stayed up till 4 in the morning. Excellent, riveting. I was so in my feelings in certain parts. That first hour is just going to work you. I'm just like, man, this is upsetting me watching it, but it was so good. And then just as you sort of go through the whole thing, and that last episode for me was a gut wrenching, just like tour de force of emotions and what this man, Korey Wise, went through. And the guy who's acting in this particular episode, you see him sort of throughout the other ones, but this one, he was really just him. I think Jerome, if I'm saying his name correctly. Some of the best acting I've seen this year, period. This young man has to be on like that top list of the up and coming. Like, you want some acting, get this dude. He nailed it, knocked it out of the park. I was blown away by this. It was really good. I can't remember if I've seen all of 13th, which I think was more of a documentary by Ava. And I never saw the, what was that movie that came out? It was like a kid's movie, a book or something, Wheel of Time, or what was that? Oprah was in it, I think.
A Wrinkle in Time.
A Wrinkle in Time. I never did see that one. This here, though, it was amazing. The way the way that it's played out, and we'll get into it, but the way that it is played out and the story is told was excellent. Her attention to details of like the different eras and the times that these parts are shot, the details to like the music and the culture and the background, I thought was just spot on. The haircuts and everything. Like it starts first. It had my attention because the first thing that comes on when it first started is I'm your idol, your highest idol. You know, it's special ed came in. I was like, oh, it's 88, 89. I remember this like the back of this is my era. And you just hear the little things and you see the style and the fashion, and it didn't look corny. It looked like, yo, that's what we was rocking. And then I remember when this happened, and just to me to see all of that, and then when you see little splashes throughout the years when people get out of prison or time has went by, and there's just little flashes of the culture in the background, I was like, oh yeah, took me right back to those times. It was just just the attention to the details I thought was just excellent. The way she had these actors. All of the actors, whether it was the kids, when they become young men, the people playing the prosecutors, even the so-called bad guys in the movie, I hated them, but they killed their roles. Like, I don't know how close they were to the real people visually. Some of them I do know now, but brilliant. You know, there was a lot of great actors in this.
There's one in particular funny actress in this.
Which one?
Felicity Huffman playing the lead prosecutor.
See, I'm not familiar with her, actually.
That's the one. Felicity Huffman. That's the one who was part of the university scandal, which is so funny now.
Who's pled guilty and will be getting sentenced in September.
Okay, yeah, I'm not aware of her funny stuff, but she was dope as hell in this. I give her that. But anyway, I'm just gonna make mine quick. This was really good. It's a shame that this type of stuff happened then, and I'm sure it must happen today. There's so many facets of this we'll get into. I mean, just as a parent watching this, I was disturbed at actions that were going on by some of the parents and the fathers in this, but it was real. I could see that type of stuff happening. Watching these kids go through these things and seeing in their eyes, like, who's going to protect me? This is what I got. Just like, they just seem scared and just wanting, what will you do to get out of a situation? You'll do anything, even if it don't make no sense. And if you don't have the thought process to understand what you're doing and the actions, it was just like, and knowing that the police or whoever, they know the consequences. Like they know who they're dealing with. They're extremely smart and diabolical on what they're doing because they're trying to so-called do their jobs by any means necessary. I just thought it was just just a sad state of affairs, man. And then to see the lifetime of shame and trying to get back into society. Again, imagine you have to come back into society, but you're a sex offender, like the top of the line sex offender and a felon. How you gonna get any type of anything? You always, what I mean? I didn't even think about that until they started going in. So I'm like, God damn, dude. My man was like, the probation dude was like, okay, you got to do this thing and report here, but he's like, this part here, this goes for the rest of your life. You're gonna have to do this for the rest of your life. I'm like, huh? Knowing that they didn't do it, I can't imagine why some of them didn't just say, you know what, you want me to be a nigga, I'm gonna be that. I always get hot. But anyway, this was great. This is a must watch. Even because it makes some people uncomfortable, that's why you're supposed to watch it. To me, any sort of great art is going to make you feel one way or the other. And just as some movies are make you feel hoorah or yeah, some movies will make you think, or some movies, man, I'm like, oh, that hit me. You know what I'm saying? It made me cry, or it made me question, or you might see yourself in some of these. I seen myself in some of these characters, and not because I went through what they're doing, but the young man at the end when he was in the prison and he's in the solitary, I thought it was a relative sort of a thing. Like, some of us are not trapped in a cell like that, but mentally being trapped in what he was having to do to survive through that. I was like, man, you can kind of see a lot of parallels to some things I might be going through or whatever. So, and this is a young man going through this. So anyway, we'll get into it, but I want to get the fellas' opinions. Aunt Pooh, what did you think of When They See Us?
This was very hard and difficult for me to watch. There was a number of times where I actually just had to stop because I just couldn't watch what they were being put through. It's amazing how I can watch all the Boys in the Hoods, Menace to Societies, and some of the other fictional black stories that go this deep in it. But when it came to this story, knowing that it was true and that these were teenage boys, I just found myself stopping and saying, I can't watch the rest of this. I can't watch the rest of this. But then, of course, Mr. Pastor Dean puts up on Facebook, have the same energy you have for Avengers and watch When They See. I'm like, God damn.
The black shaming tactics.
Yeah. I was like, this nigga here. And then I knew we was going to talk about it today. And I also didn't want to have Mr. QStorm. Well, if you any kind of historian, you should be able to push through the black pain. I'm like, God damn, these niggas. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm about an hour left in the episode 4. And it's hard. Watching what Korey Wise went through, he's just spoilers. I don't know why I'm saying spoilers, but what he went through and to get to solitary, I'm just looking like, God damn, that is a 16-year-old boy. And the way that Jarrell is, I'm gonna assume that's how you pronounce his name, is playing, and you feel like this boy has special needs. So it's even more disturbing to see how they did this boy. And we're going to get into a lot of the minutia of not only the story, but the film. But I'll just say I owe Ava DuVernay an apology. She is an excellent director. And I'm sorry that I questioned her potentially doing Black Panther. I'm sorry that I didn't go give her first day dollars for Selma. And she did a great job putting this all together. Like you said, being able to nail the time periods that they were going in, being able to nail the raw emotion. You mentioned Omar Little. I can't think of his name in the film.
Michael Williams, right?
Williams.
Yeah.
Shout out to him, man.
But, I look at this like these men, you see that they were done wrong by their fathers. A couple of them didn't have their fathers with them, or at least they're depicted not having their fathers active in their life. And then Raymond Santana and I can't think of the other guy.
John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
No. I'm the other boy who Michael Williams played his father. You just feel like they had their daddies, and I feel like they failed them. And when my son gets a little bit older, I'm going to show this to him to really hammer home that, you know, this is what they will do to you to get their guy. And more so, this is what I'm not going to do to make sure they don't get you as the guy. Because like you said, it does tug at the heartstring. And it shouldn't take a film to make you say, I'm going to be a better father. But especially when it's based on a true story. But watching this, I sit down and I think my boy is never going to be in this situation, God willing, because you can prepare them, you can put them in the right situations, but they can do stupid shit, and you just hope you instill it upon them to hopefully not be in the wrong place at the wrong time, which has served me well considering where I grew up from. And some of my actions haven't put me there. And I just got to do a shout out to Ava DuVernay, where they got you thinking about, you know, how are you doing your parenting?
Yeah, and as I think about her, Ava, now knowing, you know, I obviously already knew she was going to be doing that Prince documentary. I can't even imagine the level of detail and how good that will be. Because I say take your time, but it's in great hands. She is the shit to me. I was blown away by this, but we'll get into it. I want to, Big Sexy, man, what did you think of this?
There were so many things happening in this film. I'm a little older than you guys, but I remember back in 88, 89, 90, you know, the term wilding was being thrown around pretty frequently. You know, and that essentially meant groups of kids out fucking up. That's really what it meant. And then you have the one young man who sees his friend get arrested, and the cop said, "You want to go?" He's all, "Yeah, I'm going to go with my friend." When he said that, I'm thinking the same thing Anthony's thinking. Something is not quite right here. You know, he definitely looked to be special needs, because I don't think he understood the gravity of what was going on around him until they said guilty. Now, on the other side of this hexagon, we've got some lazy fucking cops. And Q has said, and I agree with him, cops are just not being trained properly. These guys followed their instructions of their Gestapo DA, played by Miss Felicity Huffman, again, who in a weird twist of life imitating art will be going to jail herself in September. But she locked in on these kids and said, I put this in the chat actually, I'm going to fuck up the quote, but grab every black kid you see, pretty much. And they went out like stormtroopers and started picking up, these kids. Were you here? No, get in the car. And then the evidence wasn't even remotely close. They have semen samples, none of it's from the kids, and yet they got a conviction? That's some bullshit. That's bullshit. Some of the other DAs in there, I believe, in the early portion, one was played by my girl, Famke Janssen. How you doing, girl? All right. But she told Felicity, look, you need to let this go. Didn't do it. The other DA is like, look, let this go. And then it turns out down the line, I wish I knew the DA's name, but the one played by Felicity Huffman was out writing books.
Oh, we're going to get into
getting, eating real well off of this bullshit that she concocted. This is on her. The cops are doing what she told them to do. So they're equally culpable, but at the end of the day, this is on that shitty DA. Now, as far as all the guys who got railroaded and wrongfully convicted, there were, like Mike said, there's so many things going on. You feel so bad for Jarrell. I mean, he was Korey, right?
Yeah, Korey Wise.
And I'm glad that the way Ava portrayed all of it wasn't heavy-handed, wasn't overly, melodramatic. She laid it out and said, look, this is what this kid went through. And then when the guy makes the confession, that came out of nowhere. Because earlier, we're spoiling it, fucking. Earlier in the film, the guy who actually did these rapes had an interaction with Korey. And you don't think much about it. And then later on, it comes out that this guy did it. And then they go to the DA and they're like, look, we got the guy. No. He didn't do it. He was with these other 5 kids. Look, we all fuck up. This DA should have owned her fuck up. Period. She didn't do that. So fuck her and her entire lineage. Yes.
I ain't heard that in a while. Old generation. That's what he said.
I said that too.
Can I offer? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'll just jump on this last piece. Raymond Santana, man, that I felt for him too. I felt for all of them. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But he gets out. He comes home. I'm going to tread real lightly here. Dad marries the new woman. Wasn't that the one from Orange is the New Black?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and let me say that. Let me get it. Like my lizard brain. I think is that Afro nerd will say. I see you, Dad. I see what you're doing. When she was in the kitchen, I was like, Lord. I said, you got a young one, huh? But so messy. This.
He comes home and the house is just full of people.
Whole other families there. It's crazy.
It was just wrong. And John Leguizamo put in some work too. Like you said, all the actors put in that work. And Leguizamo's trying to just maintain it and say, look, that's my wife, but you are my son. You got to stay with me. His PO is like, you got to be in the house at 7:00, not on the stoop, not around the corner, in the house. And it was just, they put these men in a cage, both physically and mentally. It was just horrible. Horrible for something they didn't do. That's the worst part. They didn't do this.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go back to that DA, and then we'll go into these young men here. What's that lady's? Oh, I'm sorry, Q. Did you get a chance to watch any of this? I'm sorry.
Wait. I wanted to respond to something that Mark said. He said that the cops were dumb at taking marching orders. And I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. I want to say no. They built the evidence around the narrative that they wanted to make sure they did it. And he mentioned that Linda, she needs to own her fuck up. And I'm like, I don't think she thinks she fucked up. She knew what she was doing.
Exactly, which makes her crazy.
What's her name? What's the lady's name again?
Linda Hitler. Yeah, I said it.
Linda Fairstein.
I'm
sorry, Fairstein.
And they're going in on her on Twitter, as they should. She is a somewhat well-known, or she's had a great career as being an author of crime novels.
Oh yeah, she's pimping it.
And I even see, I guess this stuff dates from last year, but some of these literally, I can't even talk no more, as if I ever could. Literary organizations are counseling her now, or like not giving her awards or kicking her out of these programs, now realizing who she was or what she used to do. Now, we got to go there a little bit because Ampu, you was bringing up something about her and the Clintons?
Yes, indeed. I was, because as we mentioned, I'm not throwing shots at anyone. As we mentioned during Leaving Neverland, as Michael Dean said, they're doing this documentary to stoke your emotions towards one line of thought. So unfortunately, we got to keep the same energy for this. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching this dramatized narrative of this story. Let me go get some more information. Let me go see what the papers were saying. Let me go see what the people were saying. I'm watching documentary. I'm seeing news pieces on this. I'm seeing articles. I'm reading excerpts from books that hopefully are factual. And one of the things that I saw was Linda Fairstein was on the short list in 1993 of whose presidential administration to be attorney general? That's right, Bill Clinton. So while Hillary was out there talking about these super predators, Bill Clinton was looking at one of the most celebrity prosecutors who put away a group of alleged super predators to be the government's top cop.
Man, after watching this movie, and I'm going to assume this is a true story, that lady's sick, man. Like, that would have been sickening if she'd have got that job. Because she knowingly knew the evidence wasn't there. They were going over the whole timetable and where they were located. And they saw there's no way they could have been. Well, we're going to make it. So there was, arguing with the other DAs and cops. No, we're going to make it happen. We're going to put the timeline together. Never mind that. Like, literally getting these kids back on, get them in the room and force feed them the story and have them recite it back to you so that they can admit to this and put themselves where they needed to be for these crimes. To me, that was just outrageous. Like, I don't even see how anyone could not see just by listening to those tapes that them kids didn't know what the fuck they were like. You know, when somebody's telling you something and they're like kind of looking at you I got it right? Like, we were at the park. Yeah, at the park, and they had my man Korey on tape. What did he say? This was my first rape experience. In my last, I think I'm done with it. Like, who would ever, even a nutcase, like, can just admit to, like, yeah, I did the rape, and then be like, can I go home now? You said if I do the rape, I can go home. And she's a part of that. So imagine if she would have been. That seems wild to me. That's why I want to see the aftermath of what's about to happen with her. Because I hate to be saying they should be canceling people, but she should be fucking canceled, man. She should. This is exposed. Hashtag expose. It's got to go down. I want to go back and give Q a chance. Q, did you get a chance to see this yet?
No, I haven't. So, but I do have some thoughts on it.
Go ahead.
Just anecdotal stuff. I remember like it was yesterday, working at CNN in Atlanta, my first real job out of college, when this story broke. And I remember sitting in the back room getting the scripts ready for the producer for the show, and this story broke, and we were all sitting there looking in horror. And I remember this woman. I remember she was a Spelman grad. I don't know why that sticks out. I remember her exact words were, they need to throw those, I forget what word she used. They need to throw those whatevers under the jail. I'll never forget that to this day. And that's always left an impression on me. It's just amazing. And the one thing about this whole case, so I'm speaking about the case, not the show itself, is that once it became clear that these kids were innocent, that was one of the first things, I know this is going to sound naive, that was one of the first things that spoke to me about, or solidified for me, that justice is not justice. That, you know, I grew up thinking, being taught that, you know, fair trial, justice is equal, all this bullshit. And as I got to become more of an adult and start to become more aware, I realized, no, it's more about what can you prove, how can you manipulate, and it's not all. And these people are not doing this necessarily out of the goodness of their hearts because they want to see justice meted out appropriately. It's just it's nothing more than a career. I'll never forget learning about this and thinking, oh, so-and-so prosecutor or whatever, they was just trying to cover up their fuck up. That's why this person or that person went to jail. It's not about wanting to do the right thing. I just remember that just took a little piece out of my soul when I found out when it first was revealed that they were innocent. So that's all I had to say.
There's actually a scene in the movie where that it wasn't the Linda lady. It was another. What was the other actual lawyer person? She has that kind of a conversation with one of the men who was the lawyer for the kids, because he's like, I thought we were supposed to be doing about justice, and she's like, this ain't about no justice.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm trying to come up like this. I'm trying to win. Fuck all that. So they know exactly what you're right. That's exactly what they do. Now I'm curious, Big Sexy. You're a lawyer and working with you used to work with the DA or?
Can I just say one other thing, Mike, before you handle it? Sure. 10 seconds, please. I'm gonna say something. It might be controversial. I don't know if it will be or not. I remember being proud, and I put it online, and I'm still not gonna feel hate for the guy, because when I met him personally, he was the nicest guy to me personally. But I think about Johnny Cochran and the OJ trial. It wasn't about justice. It was about just getting this dude off. Pause.
Hold it. Hold it.
I don't know where you're going with that one.
It's what I'm saying. It's about.
Wait. Why would you feel hatred towards Johnny Cochran?
Say what?
Why would you feel hatred towards Johnny Cochran?
Well, first of all, I don't know if I'm going to say I feel hatred, but I feel this kind of way.
Well, what kind of way?
I think he got a murderer off.
First of all, Johnny Cochran, like any defense lawyer, has one obligation: to make sure that his client is either convicted or acquitted by all of the evidence presented. He does not present evidence. He does not gather evidence. His job is to make sure that those who do their job. The cops here did not do their job. Johnny did not get OJ off. The cops and Chris Darden, I'm looking at you, fucked it up. So let's be clear on that.
And what I would say after, watching episode 2 where they're going through the trial and trying to make their case, and I understand this is dramatized, but I did my research afterwards and was finding out information about the evidence being presented and the case that they presented to the jury. And I sat there and I just thought to myself, like, and niggas really want to look at me sideways because I said OJ didn't do it? Because I think that the police presented the evidence or found a way to prove him guilty. When I see the evidence that they presented and how they bullshitted around with forensic evidence, with DNA evidence, how they tried to hide or try to exclude and say, don't pay attention to the fact that we collected semen and none of these kids' DNA matches it. So that's why I don't want no. I've been at every hear. No black person look at me fucking sideways, and I'm getting heated about this because this shit is pissing me off because thinking back to this. Look at me fucking sideways for saying I don't think OJ did that shit. I think those cops fucked around and tried to not frame him. Well, yeah, frame him. They fit a narrative to try to prove he did it.
I disagree slightly. I think he fucking did it. But I also agree with what you said about how the cops tried to make everything fit to fit their narrative. That's where they fucked up. But do I think he did it? Yeah, I think he fucking did it. But these cops all throughout the whole deal, well, we got to cover this up. Well, this guy fucked up, so we got to cover that up. Now we got to make this fit that, so this fits this. Nah, man, it was sloppy all the way around.
Well, my only point, I don't want to get off on a jag about OJ. I was just making the point that the emotions are the same. That's the only thing I was trying to say. I think OJ did it too. But the only point is that I felt a little way. I felt the same way you guys felt watching this docuseries. I'm going to watch it. I'm assuming I'm going to feel the same way you do. But I can also commiserate with your feelings now based on when the story actually happened. And the same feelings there about, is justice justice? Is how that's the only reason I brought up OJ and Johnny Cochran. Right. Justice is not always justice.
Well, I think the thing, and going back to kind of what Big Sexy was saying, a defense attorney. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A defense attorney's job isn't necessarily to get justice. I mean, they're not the police, and they're not. You know what I mean? Their job is to save their client. However, that needs to be. The justice is for the law enforcement to be doing the justice. When the person who is the justice of the law is doing shady shit, then there ain't no justice being served. Somebody is going to be the defense attorney for the murderer, whether or not he murdered a person or not. That's the way the system is set up, right? He's going to have somebody that's fighting for him. That's justice. I mean, that is the system.
Well, you hope he has someone.
But it's just funny hearing this,
right? But I'm saying it's just the same way we talked about Chris Durden, and I was going in. But at the end of the day, that dude who shot Nipsey Hussle is going to court. That's the way the system is set up. So somebody has to be his defense attorney, whether or not it's not that person's job to sit there and say, to push for the law. It's the law and the justice to push for it. And hopefully they present things in an honest manner that they can get their justice. In the case of this situation here, they weren't being honest. They knew they didn't have the right people, but they wanted to make this thing stick by any means necessary. And I think there was some racism involved. Let's go get there was a pardon thing she said. We're going to get those black thugs off the street, get every black thug you can get. We're going to get the people who did this. And they literally just walking down the street, picking up people. What's your name? You got ID? And the cold part about it, I kind of want to bring it back to these kids. This is really about them. The cold part about it was when they show that part where Korey, they come out of a store and they see the police over there talking to people. And say, oh, yo, man, let's go walk this way. And the cop's like, hey, you over there. What's your name? Such and such. I'm sorry, was it Khalil? The young man's name? They had the brothers. Yeah, you're on the list. You got to go. Now, Korey was just his buddy. It
was Antron McCrary.
Antron, I'm sorry. Here's the cold part about it, and it was mentioned earlier, but I just want to hammer this home. The police wasn't looking for Korey. And they was only because they out there rounding up black kids. I was like, hey, you want to go downtown with your buddy too? Now, we know what that means. The police asking you, do you want to come downtown? Huh? Hell. Now he sees his boy standing there. And he looks at his best friend or his friend, and the look his friend kind of gave him like, man, kind of like, don't leave me, or man, I don't know what's going on. And I have to commend Korey. Like, dude was a solid cat, even if it was to his detriment. Yeah, I'll go with him. Because I don't want, his mom, I can't leave him out here by himself. And so they drag him down there. He's sitting at the station. They ain't even questioning him. They going in on everybody else using all the tactics and lies to get them to say whatever they want to say. And when they realize that their narrative is not working, these ain't really probably the kids. One of the little DA people was like, well, you got that one guy over there. Maybe you can get him to tie the whole thing together. Give him a narrative that will put everybody in place. And oh boy, we were saying he might be special needs. I don't know. He seemed a little slow, and he's scared. He is a child, and they had police in there. And what they did, grab him in the room and start whooping his ass. You gonna tell him? Then they bring in the good cop. Oh man, you okay? Just tell us. And then the cold part, and he don't have no parents there or nothing. And he's just like, okay, I did it, this and that and the third. And the part that was cold to me, he the one that goes to prison the longest and goes straight to Rikers and the hardcore prison with grown-ass men. And I commend this dude for being straight up with Ava and telling his story, because a lot of dudes would not go into those details. And I'm just keep it 100. I'm assuming they raped old boy. Like when he first go in there, and he's walking in, he's in there and getting acclimated, and they like looking at him, and it's just all these predators around him. Now I would imagine they probably see, oh, this is the dude that's the rapist, because he's famous, and they tore his shit apart, and the guard let it happen. Guard was like, tell me what can you do for me? I was tripping at first. I was like, what did you say? Even Korey,
I gotta use that line one time.
He was like,
That's
huh?
sad for me to say.
He was like, huh? Yeah, tell me what you can do for me. I was like, oh, okay. I was just puzzled as old boy was. But when you see them wolves was side-eyeing him, I was like, oh, man, they about to get him. And sure enough, cop was like, the guards like, all right, everybody out. Everybody but you. And them booty bandits and thugs. I'm saying this because the shit, it was real. Tore his ass up. Repeatedly. To the point where it's like, the only way you're going to get out of this, you need to request solitary. Because they own you. Go ahead. We want to say Q?
Was this, because I haven't seen it. This is on HBO or Netflix? Which one?
It's on Netflix.
Okay. Is it from the court documents, or is this what do you call it? A dramatization?
This is from the people who lived it, told Ava the stories directly.
Because I'm looking at this now, I've never heard of her name, or back then I wasn't into politics at all. But this Linda Fairstein.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, this is not the only case she's had where she engaged in questionable tactics.
No, it's not. And we're going to go back to her. We're going to stick on Korey for a minute. But to watch his story and the stuff that he goes through, that fourth episode, because you don't really get to see, after they have the court case, it shifts to all the other kids and men and their story. And it kind of jumps around in time a little bit. And you hear them talk about Korey, but you never see him. And even when some of them start to come home, say, man, where's Korey at? Yo, they got him locked away somewhere, man. Ain't nobody heard from him. And you can kind of see his mom trying to get with other mothers. Yo, can you have your son write him or something? Because that's all he got. And they ain't trying to help. And you don't see him. You just hear about him, but you never get to see him. That fourth episode, you see why you didn't see him, and you see what he went through. The kid who only was there because he wanted to hold his man down. He went through hell. I don't even see how. I can only imagine him as a man now. Like, I can't imagine what does that do to you, going through what he went through, being isolated like that. He moved around to various prisons, being attacked. Then there was parts when them Aryan cats was on his ass. Oh, you raped a white woman.
Yep.
Beating the shit out. It's on sight. When the cops, not the cops, the prison guards. Oh, you here? You think you the shit, huh? All right. They see him about to tear him down again. Prison guards, help me. Look, and he just looked at him. And Korey holding on to the bars like, help me. The guard prying his hands off the bars and then pull his stick out and get your fucking hand off them bars, nigga. And let them wolves have them. That shit was crazy. Seeing the psychological shit he was going through just sitting in that solitary, butt naked, sweating, going crazy, having delusionary shit going on. All that shit was crazy, man. I can't even imagine how that works. It was wild to me. I thought it was so dope when he was having and correct me if I'm wrong, there was the whole little thing with his sister or brother. I thought that was a chick. Somebody please tell me that was actually a female playing that part, but I'm assuming in real life that was supposed to be a dude. You can't tell me that wasn't a girl. I was thrown off at first. I was like, huh? But you seeing what's going on in his family, I was like, man, what the hell? And shout out to, who was his mom's? Was that one lady? What's her name?
Niecy Nash.
Salute. She did it. Now I saw some parallels between Monique's characterization a little bit in Precious, but I thought she did her thing, man. These aren't perfect people; they're real people. But it was man. Like I said, I watched this as a parent, man. She was ripping my heart out, man. Like when Korey's mom came to see him after she done gave herself to the Lord, right? And then he had already been through years of all this shit, but he lost it in the visiting room. I was like, man, I don't know how much I could watch this, man. This shit is hurting me, man. I felt so bad for him, man. I was like, damn. And wasn't shit he could do about it. He was stuck, man. He was stuck in that. And he made the decision to transfer to another prison, and that was a worse decision. I was like, man, you can't win, bro. So I can't even imagine. I really want to go back and see if some real documentaries on that dude. Like, I'm just curious, what is his mind state, man? Because it seemed like he came out okay. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I wonder, was he bitter? I don't know. I just seemed like I wouldn't be mad if they was just angry, man. Like, and it shows you what these guys are going through as they come out of prison and stuff. And I think you spend the most time with that Puerto Rican cat. I can't think of his name right now.
Raymond Santana.
Raymond. And I was feeling for him. I was like, man, I know you going through it. It's different out here, and you're trying to find his way. And I was like, man, don't do it. And you get into the streets. I can't imagine how that felt having to go back to prison. Like, my nigga, damn.
And that's why I was thinking about trash ass fathers, because I was just thinking, like, his dad. Like, I understand you married this woman, that's your wife, but it felt like they were portraying Raymond Sr. really believed his son didn't do it. And I understand that's your wife, but I just cannot imagine marrying a woman who thinks my son is guilty and is talking to him like that, calling him a rapist, saying, I'm going to call your CO,
right.
All that stuff. I'm just like, I understand that's your wife, but that's your son. I feel like it's unfair to say this because the police were out to get that boy, but I feel like you kind of failed him too. And I think the last thing you should do, you should be giving your son, who went through, I think it was 6 years for a rape he didn't do, you should be giving your son a safe space, because he didn't went through hell and is going through hell on the outside now. And he has to come home and hear from your wife, the woman you marry, treat him like trash.
Mm-hmm. You know, it made me wonder, and maybe she had passed on, but the grandmother, who I got the impression was more like the mother to him, you know, because originally when he went to the jail, she was there, and then the dad. You know, again, cats can be on some dumb shit. You know, dad was, I got to go back to work. You know, just so our priorities be all so out of whack. Like, your son is in jail, sir. Like, oh, I got to get to work now. Now it's okay, man. You're tripping. And then, but I think once the grandmother's, maybe she passed away or something, I could see how his family probably broke apart. Like, there wasn't that sort of patriotic guidance. And then the dad, he just got with some young girl. He's trying to start another family. But you're right, man. Your son, that's why I didn't understand. How he just comes home walking down the street like he caught the train or something home. Like, where was his people to pick him up? You know what I mean? That's when I was off the gate. I was like, something don't seem right. Like, he was wrongfully convicted, and now he about to get out, and you just at home chilling, and he got to walk back. I was like, where is this? And then when he came home, what even like it was, where was the rest of the family at? Or did they just all write him off? So he had a lot against him, man. Like, you know, it was wrong. And even my man Omar, Michael Williams' character, man. Again, man, we gotta see how that cat was acting. He was major. He was on some fuck shit. He was a fuck boy. He's a fuck boy fuck.
Ugh, yeah.
His son
I have a question.
real quick, his son is in this big court case. Well, where's dad at? Where he's not at? His mom. He going through some things right now. Huh? Where's my daddy at? And then when he finally see him, Dad, you gonna get in the car? You're not coming with us? Son, I'm working on some stuff for us, for the family. I'm like, what could you possibly be? Your son is in court. He needs you. What? Your little funky ass parking job? Stop it. I was just like, man, brother, sometimes we get on the wrong stuff, man. That's your son. You a superhero to him. He's at the bottom. He's scared for his life. This is the only time. There's no other time you should be riding for him. And then he finally gets his, wakes up and goes to the court. But, that was some real shit when the boy came home and he didn't want nothing to do with him. And then see this, and I'm gonna go to you, Q. I have not forgot, but this is what my thought about this was. See, this is what can happen, man. If we don't hold our kids down and we don't be in their lives, see how the dad was all about his job, and I don't know if he was embarrassed. It showed that he was scared because the police dudes kind of threatened him in the questioning room. Oh, does your job know about your past? He'd get the, I've been good now. They don't, he's kind of bucking in the eye. He was on some coon shit, man. More scared about his own situation than his family. So you telling people what they want to hear now. He's all on that. Then later in life, he got medical issues. He left his wife, his family. He got medical issues. So now when he needs them, he comes back to the wife, right? Her being a strong woman, she want to took him in anyway. Come on in, boy. I'll take care of you. He can't work no more. Really. Now, when the son come home, the son's like, oh, fuck him, man. He wasn't there for us, Mom. You don't need him. I want nothing to do with them. Now, see, I could see in the father's eye, I know that hurt his heart. But that's what you did. See, this is what, and I'm saying this as his parents, we got to make sure we take care of our children and show them that we care. Because there's going to be a point in your life when you're going to need them to take care of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And just how that young man rightfully was bitter about his dad. Was like, I'm not fucking. His dad was he was barely walking. And I'll make you something to eat. Son was working out, ignoring him. I know that hurt. That hurt me watching. I was like, damn, man. But the son got every right to be mad. And then when finally to the point where the dad about to fall and bust his head open because he damn near can't walk, the son come and grab him later on in the movie. And I was like, at least he's going to cry and there's some sort of reconciliation about it. But it was almost too late because he's on his deathbed almost. And I was like, damn, you don't never want to go out like that. And that's sometimes we don't be thinking we're all healthy now and we doing our thing. We're not thinking about, man, did I show enough attention, or I was so concerned about my own little situations I wasn't thinking about them. And now, if shit flip, you be mad why they don't want nothing to do with you. And there's a lot of things was going on in this movie to me. I was just like, man, so I would just sit back learning, just watching, and this was real life. I know that had to hurt. Each one of these kids had a situation of what was going on. And last thing I'm gonna say, I'm sorry, Q, just to go back to the one boy who was the real little baby of the group. Shout out to his sister and his moms. Later in life, it seemed like his family really just surrounded old boy with love. I don't know where his dad was, whatever, but they was really holding him up. And the part where his sister sort of admits to her, mess up in the situation, I thought that was done very well, man. Like when she told the story of the brother who came in her job and tried to holler at her and why she said no. I was like, man, then when she's getting into it, just because I messed up with you. I'm kind of the reason why you went to jail on a wet. You know what I mean? Like, I felt that. I was like, damn, man, that was some real shit what she was saying, and that she could admit to it with him. And you know, I respected that boy in real life. That it seemed like he had a good heart enough to like, he wasn't bitter toward his family about it. You know, that's one of the remarkable things about it. I don't know how true it is, but the fact that them kids, for the most part, didn't seem to be overly bitter and mad at everybody. I don't know how that to me spoke a lot about them, because I know for me that would have been hard. Like, you know, you want to go angry after dealing with that, but it seemed like when they got out, they had somewhat good spirits about them, which is just remarkable to me. Q, you was going to say something.
I'm just curious why, and I'm going to get on my conspiracy brother a little bit, and it might sound crazy, but I'm looking at this thing was about, what was it, like 4 or 5 hours long, something like that, all over all the 4 episodes, maybe longer. But I'm like, why didn't this get a film theatrical release? And I'm like, I guess the first things people might say, well, it was too long, so we thought it'd be better to put on streaming service. And I'm thinking, if that's the case, I'm like, you know, it's just, and I count myself in there. If a Hollywood studio could release a 3-hour movie about Captain America and Iron Man and all that fake bullshit, why couldn't a movie like this, that I'm going by what you guys are saying, and I have no reason to not believe you, was a stunning piece of work, why did it only get released on Netflix? I don't understand that.
Well, it could be Netflix paid the most money.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if you release it, when you release it theatrically,
is somebody running water in the background or something? I'm sorry.
Oh, that might be my fish tank.
Oh, okay.
I guess, right. They better pay the most money out of the streaming service. But when you release a movie theatrically, you're just counting on good box office. And why wouldn't this have made good box office?
No, what I mean is they might have pitched it to the different studios, and Netflix was the one that paid the most money to get the rights to distribute it.
Oh. Well, that's a commentary in of itself.
Well, I would say this. After watching it, this would have not have worked as a movie, because there's no way you can show this as a movie and not cut half of it off. Like, this went in depth with each character.
Yeah.
And each one was a movie unto itself. So how do you make 4 movies, condense it down to one? To me, it would have been, you wouldn't have gotten the level of detail.
Well, see, and this is the thing where I'm like, why do we have to think inside the box? I mean, I can think immediately, The Matrix, when they put those 2 movies out within, a couple months of each other? Matrix 2 and 3, and then even Infinity War and Endgame, they came out within 6 months of each other.
And right, what did both of those franchises have in common that this movie doesn't?
I don't know. I don't, what?
Well, The Matrix had a lead-in, was one of the biggest movies at that time, right? Anticipation was high, so there was a marketplace for them to do that. Infinity War obviously had 10 years plus of movie build-up that could do that. This movie did not have that. This is not an intellectual property that has a buy-in off the rip. You know, there's almost an unknown story to a lot of people. You would have to probably use a more a Schindler's List or one, you know what I mean? One of those types of movies to be the same of that. But you're not going to see a unknown movie where they're going to do a 2-part or I guess 4-part movie franchise for something like this, where they know they're not going to get a whole bunch of money up front. You don't see that. You've never seen that before.
I don't understand. To you guys for an hour talk about how great this is. It sounds great.
It is.
And yet, but now I don't understand why. When I say why wouldn't this get a theatrical release? Why you give me all these reasons? I
gave you reasons that are legitimate reasons, but the main reason, as you gave the reason yourself, is that it's too long. Like, you would have to nail it. You would have to edit it down, and I think you'd be missing a lot of the story if you didn't go in depth like this did.
I don't think you would need to edit. If you can do Lord of the Rings and one of those films gets an Oscar, I don't care how popular it is. I don't care about that. I don't care if it has a lead in,
Right.
whatever. It's a story that deserves to be shown to a wide audience. And if you can do a Lord of the
Well, again, I think this has a wider audience than you would see at a theater, right? Like more people have Netflix than they do movie tickets. Is that true?
I don't know if that's true or not.
How many subscribers?
Netflix has 100 million global subscribers. So in theory, more people would be able to see this than would pay to go see it in the theaters.
Okay, guys, I'm not going to argue with it. I don't understand why that's the thinking, but okay.
Good. So let's just stick about the movie. I'm kind of getting off of something that's. What were some of the other strong parts, big sexy in this to you? Let's getting more into the story of the actual story.
Well, when you get into the story, you know, it's funny because a couple of weeks ago we were in the chat discussing the merits of The Shield. And did you see that pilot episode yet?
Yes, I did. Vic Mackey is trash.
Okay. Now, when you see a situation where there's a sex crime or a minor involved, you think you want this shit resolved now. And these cops are trying to get their Vic Mackey on, and just make it fit the narrative. And this film showed you can't do that. You have to be certain. And going back to Leguizamo, who put in some work, he was in a no-win situation. He's married to the one woman, and his son is out, and the woman calls his son a rapist. Right then, she's got to go. She's got to go. That ain't gonna fly here. And the only thing that happened good for Raymond, was the lady he was in contact with while he was locked up, and he blew it off, and he went back and got her, and she stood by him. That was it. Even though he went back to the street, she still stood by him. And like you said, Yusuf's family, all in. They were behind him every step of the way, which is how it should have been. But the Niecy Nash character, comparing to Monique's character, that is, in Precious, there are some parallels, but I don't want to,
and I'm reaching parallels. I'm not. She wasn't diabolical. Like
no.
Yeah,
I wanted to be clear about that. I wanted to be clear.
No, she wasn't diabolical, no. But when she turned on, the sister / brother, the trans person, that was diabolical.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she was going, as I guess I said, they're not perfect people. Where she was at that time in her life, it seemed like she obviously has evolved and grew and matured, to when she said, I gave myself to the Lord, that person was totally different. But that was very interesting to see all of that was going on with the sister and stuff, and just how that would have weighed on him, Korey. And even as he was trying to mediate between that, even as being a young kid, he was trying to can we just, talk about this, mom and his sister? And so I was just like, wow. And the fact that he was thinking of this sitting in jail all those years, and it was replaying over in his mind. And he kept having the replay of, should he have went outside and ran with his friends, or should he stayed in there with that young girl at the chicken place?
Yep. I
was just like, man, I know how that had to weigh on you. Real quick before we wrap this up, I wanted to just talk about the man who admitted to the rapes. And if I had not known that how that played out was actually real, I would have thought that was some dramatized for Hollywood, the way he interacted with Korey in prison. That is crazy to me, because he's sitting there, and I assume it was real, because they was like, yeah, these direct stories they told Ava, and we wrote them just like that. But he's sitting in there, and it was a part of the culture of where we were at that time. You saw that DMX, this was in the era when DMX was hitting, and it was playing on the TV in the prison or whatever in a little room. And Korey's like, yo, man, turn that up. And you see this, I don't know, he's Hispanic or Puerto Rican cat, nah, man, not going to do that. Turns it up anyway, and they get into a fight. Okay. Then you come to find out that's the dude who was responsible for you being in here. And it was so ironic or crazy when that dude comes up to him later at a different prison. It's like, oh, are you Korey? He's like, yeah, who are you, man? Oh, you don't remember? We kind of got into it. Oh, yeah. We good, though. I ain't got no issues with you. And he just kept looking at him. I'm like, what's wrong with this dude? Yo, man, he said something. I'm paraphrasing. You had a lot of faith in you for everything you're going through or something like that. And I thought maybe he's like, you trying to convert me or something? Like some religious type shit? He was like, nah, man. And just kept it moving. Then you come to find out that's the rapist. He realized he has an innocent man on some shit that he did. And so now he want to tell the truth. And that's how they got out. I was like, that is crazy. Like, imagine you've been doing years in prison, and then you finally come across the person who actually, you fight the person, not knowing who he is. Then you come and find out he the dude, and he realizes who you are. And in the midst to it, that just seems so fantastic. I mean, I'm not super, but that was God right there, man.
Yes.
That was God right there. Like,
I wanted to talk. I don't know if you wanted to go heavy into this, but I wanted to talk about the real life case and aspect of this, because when I was listening to, because again, we know this is all dramatized. When I was listening to the case that the prosecution presented, I just thought, like, this fucking jury is trash as fuck. Oh, it has to be all white. And then I saw that they had a black person. I'm like, well, no. I said, no, they had one black person that they put in the film. And I'm like, okay, no way could there have been any more black people. But there were 3 Hispanics, 3 blacks. So there's that black and brown coalition, 1 Asian, and the other 5 were white people. And they listened to this case and came back guilty. And I just was like, fuck all of them. All of them is trash, especially those 3 black people. I hope your shit has just been fucked up ever since. Because what they presented was, there was a sock with semen on it that didn't match any of the DNA. Now, that right there, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe these are stupid motherfuckers, so they don't know shit. But one was a data analyst, one was a financial analyst. So these were smart people. And they still came back with guilty. I'm just saying, when I heard that, I'm just like, wait a minute. You got these confessions, and all of them are saying they didn't rape it. They're talking about all these other 4 people. But now they're trying to say, okay, well, damn, you got this evidence that there's another person who matches it. But none of them have said there's a 6th person. So that's pissing me off. Like, how do you not say not guilty with that right there? So then I did more research, and I found out that 4 of the jurors actually spoke after this. And they said they didn't even consider the confessional tapes whatsoever. They convicted on the physical evidence. And I'm like, what the fuck? How, Sway? How? One of the things that they didn't put into the movie was that, I think it was Korey or one of those, I'm not sure, I need to look into it. They said that they found semen on him, and grass stains and dirt. And I was like, damn, okay. I know that episode of Chappelle's Show, we finally was like, damn, what, damn. That's how I was thinking. The semen, and I'm about to be gross. The semen I could dismiss easily. These are 14, 15-year-old boys. I'm sure he was beating it a lot, and he probably had his own residue. So I'm like, I'm like, nah, I can dismiss that. He probably had you go through his room, he probably got a ton of cum everywhere. Yeah. But the debris in the grass, I would have been like, okay, what's up with that? But even further, after this person came through, that fucking, I'm gonna say this, ladies, if you don't like me saying this, I'm sorry, you like to hear. That fucking bitch, Linda Fairstein, even when they came forward with that, she said, well, it was 6 of them. And either this dude raped her first and then they came behind him and raped her, or they raped him and then he came behind them and raped her. And I'm like, bitch, really? You just ain't gonna take this L. This Mark, you're in the criminal court system, so please help me make sense of how they are adjudicating, because and I understand it's not fair, but it's just like, how the fuck do they get away with this bullshit? How the fuck do they get away with interrogating minors, not letting them know that they can say they don't have to talk to them, that they can request a lawyer. I understand that there are shitty ass people out there that are skating through, but based on what I feel I know, the people who are beating the law are people who actually have the financial means to do so. I'm looking at Brock Turner. I'm looking at OJ. I'm looking at Beretta. They had the money to get the best attorneys that would fight for them and get the best investigative people, the best forensic scientists to beat their case. These motherfuckers didn't have none of that shit. So it's like you're manipulating them, you're outright lying to them, you're doing all this shit, and it's like, how do they get away with this stuff?
Well, the first thing about the statements that were, I don't want to say coerced, but highly, highly suggested when you were told, that you have to talk to us. A lot of times people, especially adults too, when a person is arrested and they read you your Miranda rights, the first thing they tell you, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Too many people, I'm not pointing at the kids here, I'm just talking in general. Too many people don't adhere to that. And I tell every criminal client that I've ever had, if you get arrested, do two things. Shut the fuck up. Ask for your lawyer. The moment you ask for your lawyer, any and all questioning must stop. That's it. Anything taken in violation of that constitutional case is going to be kicked out. Now, going back to the attorneys here, and the kids, and again, these are kids. Maybe the kids didn't know to tell their representation, look, they got this out of me without me being Mirandized, or something to that effect. They should have jumped on that immediately. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm saying that's what should have happened. Now, as far as the jury goes, we saw this in the OJ case. The jury is not going to see what you and I see. They're not going to be told what you and I are told. All they have is what they are told in court on the record. That's it. Now, it's easy for us, knowing everything else around it and the nuances around certain pieces of evidence, to have that reasonable doubt. The way it's limited when you're on a jury, and I've never been on a jury, but the way it's limited when you're on a jury, you have to follow the law. And if the law says X and you're only getting 90 or 10% of the whole picture, you got to make that stand on the 10%. Now, there are people who have gone on to juries with the intent of hanging a jury. I've seen it a million times. That's why jury selection is very important, because we've all heard, man, I got picked for jury duty. I don't want to go. Shit. So you got to weed that person out. You have to make sure that you select a jury that is going to listen to the evidence. Not necessarily, follow what you want them to do, but just listen to the evidence and remain unbiased, and that's hard. That is a hard standard. So when you see things like, we'll go back to OJ. When you see that jury acquitting him, they didn't see everything we saw. If they saw and heard what we heard as, just Joe Public, could have gone a different way. Same thing with these kids here. A lot of the evidence wasn't in. A lot of it was, manufactured and presented in a slipshod way. Jury can't see all the things around it. They just see the actual last result of it, and they went the way they went.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, and juries fuck it up too all the time.
Yeah, no doubt. And I was going to say too, and just as parents, like, unfortunately the dad, a couple of dads co-sign, just tell them what they want to hear and they'll let you go home. So when you have the parent sort of co-sign and sign off on it, that's going to hurt you, and unfortunately that was pissing me off. And, even when the dad stepped up after the fact, they're like, hey man, we got your son on tape. So whatever you gonna say, then they're gonna weigh it against. They're gonna show that video at the end of this bitch. And unfortunately, they got him admitting to it. And then and you just said that you told him to say that. So you know what I mean? So as the parents, we got to hold down our kids too. And we can't be in there all scary. Or we can't be too busy because we got to go to work or whatever. Yo, man, go get some help. Go get a lawyer or whatever. But don't just, my son, he ain't going to never do. Go on and tell them what they want now. So stop being, we got to stop that. That stuff is wild.
One more thing. I want to echo on what Q said, actually. And I've seen this with my own two eyes. A lot of people in law, prosecuting and defending, do look at it, this is just a career. This is just a gig. Too many of that people of that mindset don't take their duties seriously enough, in my opinion. You know, I knew one DA who was just in it because she could get good health care. I'm like, you can't be about that, man. You know, you got to be about zealously representing your client. And a lot of them are just, man, 8:30 to 3:30, I'm out. And I've seen it so many times.
That's what and like Big Sexy, you know, more than any of us, like some of these courtroom shows or movies where I see people talking to like the prosecuting attorney and the defense attorney. Well, if you give me this, then my client will do 2 years. Can you give me that? No, I can't give you that because the people want this. Okay, well, all right, well, maybe he'll do 3. And I'm like sitting there like, I guess that's how the game goes, but both sides should be sitting down saying what's right, not about what can I bargain.
The actual phrase plea bargain is just that. You know, I have done hundreds of plea bargains. And again, a person, when they take a plea, does not necessarily mean they are not seeking justice, because, you know, at the same time, you don't want to have it on the crap table. If I roll the dice and go to trial, I can get 30. Or I can take the plea, get 5, do 2 of the 5, and then get that expunged.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it goes to judicial economy and things of that nature.
I understand what you're saying. It's rational. I feel like I'm a rational person for the most part. I understand there's laws, isn't it? But you're just hearing people talk like that. We're talking about fucking people's lives. These are people's lives. I know.
And again, people, you don't have to take the deal.
Like they're at a Vegas crap table.
You don't have to take the plea bargain either. And a lot of times, when you get into the higher level felonies, it's not like that. They're not bargaining like that. But with low level misdemeanors and, you know, like DUIs, yeah, get this shit done. But when you get into like again, I had that bank robbery case a few years ago. Me and the DA went back and forth. You know, I pulled out my client's high school records. I had all this stuff. I'm like, look, justice is not served here by her doing 30. It's just not. That is not an equitable result. And for the most part, you know, a good DA who's read the case and, you know, done his work as well, they can agree. But when you get like, you know, some repeat people in, oh man, this is my 5th time doing so-and-so, oh, you got to go. You got to go. And as a defense lawyer like that, when you know someone has got the arm length record, it becomes a question of damage control. It's like, look, you going in. That's a given. Let me try to get as little as time as you're going to get. But you're going in because you have worked for this. So, so a lot of these procedural shows, yeah, they do make the plea bargain process look a little, you know, casual. But again, sometimes the defendant's like, you know what, let me just get in, do this, and get out. It all depends on the nature of the crime.
Well, I want to say one thing. In this, they presented them with a deal in this movie, and I have to commend those kids. They wasn't going for it.
They said no.
They say, we're not going to admit to something we didn't do. And again, going back to Korey, man, he was having countless probation hearings, And it seemed like they was ready to let him walk if he would just only take responsibility and admit to the crime. And he was like, I can't do it. I can't tell you I did something I didn't do. So I guess I'll be sitting in this prison for years. I commend him on that, man. Because he could have probably got out. And he was like, nope, not going to do it. And I know a lot of people would have said, you know what, fuck this. I'm getting raped in here. I'm getting out. And I have to commend him for that, man. Last word, and we want to move on to something else. Go ahead, Q.
I was going to say, it's kind of tertiarily involved with what you just said. The movie Hurricane with Denzel Washington. What you just said, it always brings me back to what I think about all the time. The movie, that was a great movie, but the movie I really wanted to see was right at the end of that movie, before he goes on trial, when he talks about the kid that he was with who did time and refused to take a plea to get out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember that. Mm-mm. I always think of that when you just said that. It's like there's some people that they live by a code of values, and I salute them for that. Same thing. That's what was my point with the Hurricane, that movie. If you watch that again, that one scene where he says, and I really got to applaud my companion. He could have ratted me out to get out of jail, but he didn't. He did the whole 20 years or whatever.
All right.
Man, this is we're supposed to have the best criminal justice system in the world, and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
The same thing happened with the Barry Bonds issue. The federal prosecutors went after one of Bonds' buddies and said, "You're going to testify." He said, "I ain't testifying against shit." They locked him up for a year and a half. He never talked. Ever.
All right. Well, with that said, I'd implore you to watch this movie or limited series. It is excellent, very well done. One of the best TV series I've seen all year for sure. And is it Jarrell Jerome? Man, highest salute to you. He's got a hell of a career in front of him because he is a phenomenal actor. And I realize now he acted through all time zones of the movie, unlike the other characters where some of them were played by kids and then adults. He was the kid and the adult and blew it out of the water. So tour de force performance from him. Let's move on quickly. I think Q's got limited time, but I wanted to jump back into, before he goes, give us an update, man. We had a lot of people who responded back on your gun store situation. And so
gun store situation.
What I should say something different. Black Business Hour. I'm sorry. Yeah, Black Business Power Hour with QStorm. So we are here for the second part of the seminar, sir. What ended up happening?
Well, I sat down with the gun range owner, and the one thing I learned was this: no matter how crazy someone is, and they may actually be crazy, no matter how maybe this is a man thing, it's a woman thing too, but being a man, it just speaks to me more as a man. Nothing can substitute in front of someone face to face, man to man, getting their perspective before you judge them.
Say that one more time, actually.
Yeah, okay. Nothing can do sitting down with a person. Well, I'm gonna add this: a person you don't really know.
Sound like you under the witness stand. Like, wait a minute, I want.
How they do it when they're on trial and someone always whisper in their ear, and then they come back with some total bullshit. Your Honor, Mike, I have to take it. There's nothing's. Always sit down with people face to face, man to man. Is how it needs to be done. That's why I can't stand this 21st century bullshit. I'll text you, don't call me. I prefer text. Don't talk to me. Fuck you. I'm old school. Talk to me. I'm going to talk to you. We're going to chop it up. And we can come to a conclusion and we walk away. That's why I respect the mafia. Let's have a sit down. That's the one thing about them guys I respect. So I sat down with the gun range owner. I'm not going to lie. I was a little scared. Not scared, but I was like, how's this gonna go down? Am I gonna have to Am I going to have to calm down and he's going to say it's the wrong thing and I might get in trouble or whatever? But we sat down. By the end of the conversation, he made it clear that the guy that hired me, who now I'm starting to think he's a little bit on some bullshit, because the gun range owner made it clear, this is why I have a problem. The problem's not with you, although he did say he did have a problem with me up there. Okay, fine.
Wait, what?
You
What?
cut out or something. What'd you say?
I said the gun range owner said that he did not have a problem with me, although he did mention that he did not like me walking in there wearing stuff that said liberal with a gun, because he runs his shop is all about conservative. And I'm like, okay, it's your shop, fine. I respect that. But he told me that he was pissed because the guy who hired me has not been talking to him directly. Turns out the gun range owner did reach out to the guy who hired me and tried to work a deal where their competing businesses could both eat bread together. And when the gun range owner saw me walk with her, talking about, well, this is my new gun instructor, the gun range owner felt like, well, wait a minute, what happened to our deal? You never got back to me. Walking in here with this new guy, me, talking about this is your gun instructor. So he's like, all you're doing is hiring these gun instructors. They come in range, you use my range, have them teach your students from my range, and then they go back to your shop and buy your shit. So, I mean, he had a point. Although I might say, well, I'm bringing these students to you and they're going to keep coming to your gun range. That's where you get your bread from. Most of the bread made in the gun industry is through gun sales, not through gun ranges. And I know, but it is what it is. So bottom line is, I say hesitantly, I had a new respect for the guy after sitting down and talking with him, and I learned a lesson that day. You know, maybe I could even sit down with President Trump. And no, I'm not going that far. I'm not going that far.
What lesson did you learn?
Sit down before you form a judgment about someone. Talk to them.
Interesting. Okay. Now, are you going to do business with? I guess we all want to know is, are you going to be doing business with him or not? Or
the only well, here's the thing. The gun range owner said to me he did not want. This is what I was told. And that's another thing. Don't be listening to people around you. Go to the source.
Right.
I don't know what you listen about, Big Sexy.
We waiting for you to tell us something new, but we know that. But go. So what are you guys doing business or not?
I'm going to be doing business. I'm going to continue going to his range and training students there, because he said he didn't mind me bringing my employer students there. So he said, if I bring students there, fine, he doesn't care. That's what he said. If I'm bringing my students there, he doesn't care. But he doesn't want me bringing, I don't want to mention names, but he doesn't want me bringing my employer students there, because he knows that my employer has told me to sell, like if I'm teaching a student how to load their magazine, well, there are devices that make it easier to load the magazine so you don't wear your thumbs out. And he knows that the guy's telling me, okay, and tell the student that you can buy this device at my shop. Okay. So that he doesn't want me bringing the other guy's students in there. Now, how he can tell the difference, I guess he's going on the honor system. I don't know.
And he doesn't want you wearing LWAG branded stuff in there.
No flag colors in there, yeah.
That was the other weird thing. He also said, if you're teaching your students, I don't care if you wear that. And I'm like, well, either you want me to wear it or you're not, or you don't. But I'm like, okay, he laid out his rules to me, and a lot of them made sense. And now I'm looking at my employer thinking, oh, he also said, and you've got the employer putting you in the middle of this instead of him talking to me. Instead of talking, he's talking to you, talking to the guys behind my counter. He's not talking to me. And the reason he's not talking to me is because he knows that hiring you and bring you into my shop is not the deal we talked about, and he knows he's wrong. That's why he's not talking to me. And I had to sit back and say,
So have you now just went straight to him to do business, or are you still working with this other guy you mentioned?
I'm still hired by the gun shop owner. But the thing is that the gun shop owner, rather than sitting down with the gun range owner, which I think would be in his best interest, he's saying, "Oh, I'm going to have you go to this other range instead." And I'm like, that's kind of a bitch ass move. Sit down with the guy and talk to him, because the other range he wants me to take these students to, it's like a 50-mile round trip. And I told him, look, if you want me to go to that range, fine, but you're going to have to pay me for travel. And he sent me a text talking about, well, I don't want to be losing money on the deal. And I was like, well, I don't either.
And I'm only asking this because now I just want to be, because I sound confused. So there is actually a gun shop person, and then there's a gun range person. Is that correct?
Right. The gun shop person is the guy who hired me.
Okay.
Because he offers firearm instruction classes.
Okay. And then you would go shoot at that other guy's gun range.
Then we go to the other guy's range.
Got it. Okay.
And the other guy, like I said, I don't know if I'm eating crow, but I have to readjust my thinking of judging the guy. He was like, if that gun shop owner, my employer, wants to deal with me and just wants to bring people to my range and have them go back and buy tell him he can build his own range. I'm like, well, okay, makes sense. So.
Alrighty, well, there's the update.
What I got out of it was communication is key.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
And that's something I've always lived by.
No, okay.
But you just now got it, though.
No, it was just proven to me. It was again reinforced. It was again reinforced to me. Because now, let me be clear. I've seen the gun range guy in action. He abuses his employees. He's a loudmouth and
abuses.
Well, when I say verbally abuses, I've seen it. So I don't know. When I walked into that shop, he looked at me and he was talking to one of his employees, and I said, I'm not going to even stare at that guy because I don't want it to get off on the wrong foot. I walked over to the range area, and I said, I need to talk to. I almost said his name. I need to talk to the owner, the gun shop, the gun range owner. And he said, okay, wait in the lounge. I waited in the lounge, waited about 10 minutes. He came in, closed the door. I was like, oh, okay, it's about to be on. Then he sat down and he spit some truth.
He spit some truth.
I try to stay in with the vernacular. I'm sorry.
You need to let that go.
I'm not letting it go. It keeps you young.
No.
Fuck all. Hey, how about this from Ice Cube? Fuck all y'all. How about that?
I like this other quote from Ice Cube. They'll have a new nigga next year.
Hilarious.
So, Q.
Yes, sir.
Here
we go.
Down.
Here we go. What you got?
Are you done?
Well, you're in Baku now. Are you done? Are you finished or are you done? No, I'm not done. Go ahead.
So, Q. You sat down with the gun range owner.
Yes.
Face to face, like a couple of men.
Yeah.
You talked it out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I do believe this time last week we said, and I know I said, Q, talk to this cat, man. Break bread with him. Man, fuck him. Okay.
No. Wait, now see, counselor, you do this for a living. Don't let me have the stenographer read back the report.
Read away.
That was when you guys made it about the business cards. Sit down and talk to him. No. Let me finish. Don't want to treat you like a hostile witness.
For a person who likes to interrupt a lot of people, go ahead.
That was when we got off on a jag about business cards, leaving them behind. And I said, do that. Fuck him. If I can't leave my business cards behind, I will go get my own students.
So in other words, that's different.
Well, it clearly is.
No.
There's a difference between
the
not being able.
was this. We said, Q, have a discussion with this dude. Clear the air and find out.
And I did not disagree with that. What I disagreed with and said, what I said, fuck you, not fuck you, fuck him, was about whether or not I could leave cards behind.
Did the cards come up during the discussion?
No, I didn't see any need for them to come up.
But you actually had the discussion with the man.
Yeah. And I was trying to say to him, why don't you and Mr. Gun Shop owner, my employer, why don't y'all just, I said to him, this is silly. Why don't y'all just sit down and talk this out? If you feel like he's not listening to you about your idea, and I told him, I think it's a good idea. What he wants is an independent firearms instructor that can work for both of them. Whoever funnels clients to that firearms instructor, he takes them to the range and he reps for that person who brought that client to him. And I was like, that sounds like a good idea to me. I'm going to say that because I'm getting clients from both ends. And I'm getting paid a salary from both people. So why can't this work? But the gun shop owner, who, like I was telling Mike offline, I'm starting to look at him side-eye now because he refuses to talk to this guy, the gun ranger.
Just to talk to the guy.
And I'm like, I don't want to say their names. I know they're probably not listening, but
I'm kind of confused. Why don't you want to say their name?
Well, you don't know who's listening. You the one talking about NDAs. Come on now.
You got NDAs with them?
No, I'm just. Wow. I'm not going at you, man, but Drax like a motherfucker.
I was the Drax. I'm still trying to understand why you.
Listen, it's just you don't know who might be hearing. That's all.
That's a good game. I'm not mad at that. Get your money first. I air nobody out. But go ahead. So you're still going to be you're still working for your employer.
I'll put it like this: I'm working for him if he wants me to drive 25 miles one way to a range because he's too bitch to talk to this guy who was literally 5 miles away from me. And I'll be honest, I'll put it out there. He's only paying me $12 an hour. But I'm doing it because I love the work and it gets my name out there. But I'm not going to go into the hole and put in $12 because most sessions only last an hour. So if I drive 50 miles round trip, I'm basically getting paid to put gas in my car.
Or you might be just getting paid to build up your clientele and get your name out there. Not necessarily about making the money up front. I'm just giving a different example.
That's true, but I'm not going to lose money on the deal.
Sometimes you have to. But maybe it's not worth it to you. I can respect it.
You know what?
It's not worth it.
Well, I believe you have to spend money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm going to spend money, I'm spending it to get something out of for myself. I'm not going to save you money if you're hiring me. It's not my job to save you money. For sure.
I agree with you. I was just trying to say, maybe you do have to spend some. I wouldn't call it wasting. I would say, yeah, okay, I got to spend a little money here. But, if the long play is I'm going to get my own clientele based off of this, that'll pay me way more than a little $12 or extra $25 I might lose on the front end. It might be worth it, but you're saying it's probably not.
Well, that's the other piece. Another development is that, and I think I told you that we had elections last week, and I spoke to one of the councilmen who, unbeknownst to me, gave my name to the police chief in my township, and he called me and said, "We want you. I want to talk to you. You got hired marks from this councilman. Come on in. We want to talk to you. You're doing the gun thing. Maybe if you would volunteer to do some shows when the police go out into the community." And I'm thinking, yeah, that will allow me to possibly recruit or market to people to come and pay me my full fee. So I'll spend money to go wherever this police chief wants me to go because I'm investing in myself.
So I'm clowning. I'm just joking.
Here we go. White Daddy? Are the words White Daddy?
I said I'm clowning. I'm just joking.
They come out my mouth.
But So now you ready to go work for law enforcement for free?
All these people are white, just so you know.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. So you ready to go work for law enforcement for free? but you okay?
I'm not gonna say it.
Hey, no, I want to make this.
I'm playing with you, man.
I'm not saying it.
I want to make this very clear. Hell yeah!
Wow. Bing, ding, ding, bing, ding, ding, ding.
Shit,
After we just talked about the way they see us, but go ahead.
No, the way some of them see us.
I missed that.
Not all white people.
I missed that version. No wonder you didn't watch this one right off the front. But go ahead.
That was up in Harlem.
Huh?
That was up in Harlem back in 1989.
It's different now.
Okay. Now, if I see some
Tomato
shit go
rice.
down in Upper Chichester Township,
Michael Brown.
Pennsylvania, then I'm gonna address it. But until then, shit. Yeah. Okay. Where you want me to go? Done.
I'll be there, boss. But at least you're moving forward. That's good.
If what was it? If Wu-Tang Clan can go to the Statue of Liberty and pick up a broom,
I lost the connection.
Completely.
if Wu-Tang can go to the Statue of Liberty and pick up a broom and be like, "Yeah, sir, boss."
Huh?
Like y'all was talking. Well, forget it. Okay, I forget.
He worked there.
Yeah, they worked there before they became the Wu-Tang Clan.
I understand. So I'm gonna be working it before I become the new, because the L-WAG is no more. That
Why is
changes the
L-WAG no more?
Yeah. I was just going to ask you about that if you were still going through with the name change.
I'm going through the name change because I have been thinking about, I don't know what the damage, maybe that's a harsh word, I don't know what the unseen damage is to people who might take my, like I put up flyers all around and you have where they can rip off on the bottom of the page the phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go to the website and they might see liberal with a gun and they might be like, "Oh, fuck this dude, he's a liberal." They might be like that, and I'll lose business.
I like the twang in the voice there. Yes.
Well, that's how we talk when we try to. Okay.
We.
We there and then it's we we.
I would imagine anybody, if they had that type of twang, and they probably wouldn't be tripping to choose a liberal. It might say something else, but go ahead.
Done?
No.
Anyway.
No.
I don't know, clown to me, but anyway, I was thinking that could be damaging to the business. And plus, we just had, in all seriousness, we just had another mass shooting. 11 people, Virginia Beach. About to tell some old friends to fuck off. Anyway, some old friends of mine, they are getting at me because I'm a gun owner. And I'm about ready to tell them, fuck you. I'm not that type of a gun owner. I'm going to be going out and shooting people in a school or whatever. Anyway.
I'm just sorry. How does that equate to having anything to do with your name or your business name?
I'm trying to tell you. I don't like anymore the word gun being in my name because I think it is a provocative word. It immediately turns off people who see it. And I have like car magnets that I put in my car. Mm-hmm. I've had like 2 of them stolen, trashed. So it's like it's not.
So what would you call it if you don't use the word gun?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of names you can come up with that don't use the word gun.
Liberal arms.
Well, I don't want the word liberal in it either.
Oh,
I just explained that.
Oh, you mean like firearm or something like that? I'm actually legitimately asking you what other terms is there for gun?
I'm going to go with the strong side defense.
You're playing football now. Okay.
That sounds like some kung fu or something. Okay.
That sounds like a football defensive scheme.
Okay, so
strong side is also a gun term. Strong side and weak, strong side and offside.
I never heard that. Okay.
Okay. Well, me neither.
Well, I'm
learning.
I want to ask a question.
You don't do guns, so I'm not surprised you've never heard of it.
I want to ask a question. You said strong side is a gun term, right?
It's not only a gun term, but it is a gun term. Yes.
Okay. Me, coming from that marketing, social media branding aspect, I look at, you want to go with a name that is easily recognizable and galvanize and, catch the eye of potential customers. And I'm just saying, you saying Strong Side is a gun reference. You don't worry that people are going to be like, well, what does that mean?
Well, okay, like this. Fair question. I've seen companies named Omega Defense, and they're about guns. I've seen company, what's another? Safe Actions Education. They're about guns and defense.
Okay.
Now there's one guy. His company is called Train to Fight. Now, when I hear that, I do think of martial arts.
Yeah.
He's about guns. So it's not just. I mean, I know you have a marketing background. I'm not going to challenge you. I will say you know far more than I do about I suck at marketing. That's why I'm changing my name now. Okay, but I think it's not just the title going to hit people. Advertising. It'll say Strong Side Defense, and then, just like it said with liberal with a gun, firearms instruction.
Okay, so now I'm a clown. I'm going to go ahead and clown.
let me before you do that. Why the need to clown? Period.
Because that's what we do.
Stop it.
I'm just saying, a very militant black Ashe Hotep brother would kind of come look at you a little sideways. I was like, because when you started this out, you was like, you was kind of a little militant, like, yeah, I'm gonna rise up and I'm a train the brothers so we can defend ourselves against these crazy ass white folk. Hey,
I said that on the show.
Mark,
I know.
Mike.
Okay.
So you admit I'm not mischaracterizing you, right?
You're taking it a little far, but okay.
That's pretty accurate.
I wasn't all about Amen, Hotep. I wasn't all that. Go ahead.
No, I said the Hoteps would look at you like that. I'm not calling you one. So right. I would, on my Hotep Malcolm X, I would kind of look at you sideways, like, wait a minute. I remember you going into the barbershops, the black-owned barbershops and laundromat, and kind of being mad that they weren't more inviting to you. Right. And you was kind of like, fuck them.
I see where he's about to go with this. Let me get my popcorn.
When Whole Foods and this white gun range was giving you pushback, all of a sudden you coming to the table and low key you changing your name for them. I'm just saying,
Okay.
Again, I'm clowning. I'm totally clowning. Not serious.
But every good clown, if there's a little bit of truth in it, it's kind of biting. But I want to hear his response to this.
Okay. So, as I said before, it's not like I've taken the time to impart with you, fine gentlemen, every minuscule aspect of my business. I've told you things that I think would be good for the show that were true. But I haven't told you everything. I could tell you that I've had some black people tell me they don't like the name. And I could also tell you that, and I'm not bullshit, you can go on Facebook yourself and search on black gun owner. You will see at least 15 or 20 pages, and you'll be surprised to see how many of those people are conservative. It breaks my heart to a certain degree. But you will find that a lot of black folks out there into guns are just as, I want to be careful with this, just as non-liberal as some of these white folk out here.
Non-liberal.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
But I haven't given every aspect of, because we don't have the time.
Okay. I don't mean to cut you off. So what does that mean?
But you're going to.
Oh, of course, it's my show. So I'm supposed to do that. But I'm asking you a question. But so what are you saying?
I'm saying it's not only by Whole Foods and this white gun range owner to change my name. It's something that I've been considering for the last month and a half.
Okay.
The only reason, honestly, I really haven't done it soon is because I didn't want to. I spent money on clothing and ads and stuff like this, and I didn't want to have to go and spend money again. But I'm willing to do it now.
Explain it. Okay. All right. Well, man, as I always said, as I tell you offline, as you say, I always salute what you're doing, man.
See, Mike. Wait, hold on.
What's that?
Now, see, Mike, offline. See, Mike, you ain't shit, Mike.
What? Well, I'm not shit. Is my message any different?
Because I could reveal all the shit you said to me when I tell you the same shit offline.
Oh, what do I always tell you about your? What did I always tell you? I told you from day one about your name. What did I always say about it?
You said you thought that it might not. It might. I'm paraphrasing. It might alienate a certain sect of people.
Right.
It might put some people off.
Right.
And I didn't disagree with you, but I'm like, I really like the name.
And I get it. Go ahead.
I didn't disagree with you. Mm-hmm. But I did talk to I talked to you, I talked to a couple other people, and they were encouraging, but they said, well, you might have some problem with that, but it might get your name out there controversially, and maybe that's all it's about, is getting your name out there. I was like, at that time, I was like, yeah, it's all about. Well, now I'm like, well, I know it takes a while to build a business, but this is going a little bit too slow. Maybe it does have something to do with the name, given all the troubles I've had, including late. And this guy who's in the gun industry. Now, I'm not going to take much more time, but by the same token, a gun shop down the street from me, staunch conservatives. Matter of fact, I don't go there anymore because we got into an argument, liberal versus conservative.
Oh, Lord.
But he was putting my cards up. He was putting my cards up that said liberal with a gun. So I'm thinking, oh, well, if he feels that way, if he's okay putting the cards up, maybe it is okay. Well, business is not moving for me. And Mike, all about your business sense. What would most people do if business is not moving fast enough? They go back into the think tank, into the lab, and they make changes.
Mm-hmm.
If the plan's not working, then change the plan.
Well, who said that?
I stole that from Houdini, actually.
No, I could tell it was a quote. I just couldn't remember who said it. I don't know. I don't see why anybody would hate that.
I don't think anybody's hating. He was just clowning on you. You kind of took it personal, but you explained it. Something going on with your connection, Q. Sometimes every other word kind of goes out for a second, but. All right. Well, there we go. We got our update on Q. It's not called L-WAG anymore. Are you still working on the new name?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be Strong Side Defense. Strong Side Defense.
There we go. So check that out. Some of y'all don't go and buy his domain yet. Let him get that. Don't do that.
Actually, Strong Side, it was taken.
Oh.
But I have a question for all you tech heads that always be fucking with me calling me Q. Sometimes it's deserved. I get it.
And you know what you just said, the way it was like, all you old who keep calling me Q. I don't know. Are you downloading something in the background or something?
Download port.
Nothing's going on in the background.
Yeah, for some reason your connection isn't very well. But go ahead. What are you going to ask the tech heads out there?
If I want to, so I have a YouTube channel, right? If I want to maintain the same URL, I just want to change the name. Is that possible to do on YouTube?
All right. Leave your comments on the.
Yes, it is.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, there we go. We got our tech update and we got the Black Power Hour 2. So definitely check it out.
Black Power Hour. Okay.
Real quick here, just an update on Jason Mitchell. Now, the last week, so we talked a little bit last week about the situation, and now we have the showrunner and the show owner, or creator, I should say, came out and spoke on this. And this is very interesting. I had no idea that, what's her name? Lena Waithe?
Lena Waithe.
Lena Waithe. Isn't she an actor too?
Yeah.
She was in like Ready Player One, wasn't she? Is that her?
Yes, she was. And she got her biggest notoriety in an episode of Aziz Ansari's Master of None.
Yes.
She co-wrote it and got an Emmy for it.
I don't know what the hell you just said. The what show?
Master of None?
Master of None, yeah.
Never heard of it. All right. Well, suffice to say, now that I know who she is, I didn't know she created The Chi. So salute to her on that. That's actually pretty dope. But apparently, and I didn't know this until I started reading this, but I guess she identifies as a lesbian. Am I speaking correctly in that?
Clearly she does.
Well, I wouldn't know. But
you haven't seen photos of her, have you?
Well, I have now, but I wouldn't know. I didn't know she was attracted to women. I just but neither here nor there. I say that to say, I find this whole thing interesting. She was on the Breakfast Club, to me, dancing and sort of splaining her way through this situation. It looks to me from the outside, and just going by what she said and what the showrunner said, is that she was made aware of this stuff that was going on. She was made aware at the end of season 1. Knew that there was some issues with Jason and the young lady Tiffany Boone, who plays Jason's girlfriend on the show. And she said said, hey, go talk to HR, and I'm gonna get involved, and I'm gonna get somebody in here who can run the show. I'm gonna get a black woman to run the show so this stuff doesn't happen. But it seems as if she must have sort of sided with Jason's situation or sided with her money. I don't know, but it looks to be that she was okay with the person who's saying they were abused, Tiffany, saying, you know what, I'm going to quit because I can't handle this no more. And she decides to say, that's cool. We're going to ride with Jason because the show must go on. And that is what it is. It looks as it only becomes an issue when the cast members of the Desperado movie, which was on Netflix, said, we're not working with Jason. It was 2 white women and a white dude saying, hey, there's some issues going on over here. He got to go. And it was when that happened that they had to come back and save face on The Chi, and they realized, we done already let this woman, a black woman, go over this and was going to keep him working here on the 3rd season, knowing some shit going down. But now that this other company, they done fired him, it's going to blow back on us. So we got to get him up out of here. But to me, it looks as if you decided to ride with the guy who has the multiple allegations and let the sister go. And you are a black woman. It looks very funny style.
So can I ask?
Certainly.
So are you all saying that she's cooning for someone?
I'm not saying she's cooning. I'm just saying, as I've said about the R. Kelly case before, if you're a black woman in this industry, they don't care about you. It's only going to be a problem when it hits somebody. It was only a problem when the white woman, and I'm not going against white people, I'm just saying, though, this whole thing was sparked because he was fired off of a different show, and the white woman said it was an issue, not because the sister had been going through this already. They told her, you can quit. He ain't going nowhere.
So what's the dancing part? That's what I'm.
Well, the dancing, because she's trying to act like she's cool. When asked about Tiffany, she said, well, Tiffany is going to go on with her career, and it's all cool. And she's trying to play that I'm about black people issues and this and that. But ultimately, it looks as if you're not, because if the story hadn't came out that he got fired from Desperados and it forced your hand over here, you would be like, man, F that black woman. We keeping the abuser. I don't care about. And then you look at her tweets and you can see it either a year ago or months ago. She seems to address these worded tweets to him about this, but obviously not enough that she would let him go. She would rather it'd be just like if you were a company, if you was your company and somebody came to you and said, hey, I'm being abused here by one of the other coworkers, and you told her she needed to quit.
I know, but here's the thing. I don't agree with what she did or what she's alleged to have done, but one could look at the perspective of she was standing up for a black man.
Okay,
right?
That would be admirable if the black man wasn't harassing black women on the set.
Okay, now I'm just playing devil's advocate, and maybe I'm doing a little dancing too. I'm just trying to get, but has he been proven guilty?
He hasn't went to court, so why would he be proven guilty?
Right. So
we're not talking about a court of law, so there's no proof of innocence or anything in here, right?
So I guess I'm saying, why isn't the argument that she's standing by him until proven guilty?
Okay, but the thing is that this happened over 2 seasons. It was multiple accusers, and then he went to another set and behaved this way. And
she's admitted that he has issues.
But what? Okay.
So she admits, going to your point, she admits he was guilty.
Again, I'm not defending her by any way, shape, or form. But what is all this on code supposed to mean then?
Right. So are you on code?
Wait.
Let me ask you the question. Let me ask you the question, Q. You asked a great question. So would you argue that same point for R. Kelly?
Well, did he go to trial though?
No, but neither did this.
He was found not guilty.
This didn't go to trial. Right. Well, we're not talking about right, and he has multiple cases on him where he's fired from situations, and even the woman you're talking about, why she's not, she admits he's been doing it. So I'm asking you again, just to use your own sort of, would she have? If you're saying she's being on code, I'm saying, so would people be on code to say R. Kelly is innocent? Then you shouldn't hold him back?
Because they have a videotape of R. Kelly. They don't have any.
But he was innocent, wasn't he?
I wasn't finished.
I know, but I'm still asking you a question.
They don't have a videotape of Jason Mitchell doing what he's been accused of.
Okay, but to go back to your original point, you asked him, was he proven guilty? I'm telling you, R. Kelly was proven innocent. So again, wouldn't you be on code to say, well, he's actually proven innocent in the court of law and in the public view?
He was proven innocent, but we all know that we saw in Big Sexy, the attorney I assume he is still, there is a videotape.
So that doesn't matter. So then your whole guilty, innocent thing, we should take that out of the argument?
Oh, okay. Here's the question I got to ask from Q. Where's the tape of Michael Jackson?
That's different.
Well, that's a good point. And I have an answer for you. If I can see the people who claim that, and again, I'm not sticking up for Jason Mitchell. We're
just playing devil's advocate as well. So go ahead.
There should be consistency. If I can see, what's the young lady? Boone. What's her name? Tiffany Boone. And the people from Desperado. If I can see what we were talking about earlier, sit down face to face. If I can see tape of them talking about what they went through, then you have a point. Just like in the Leaving Neverland documentary, I saw those guys sit down and relay their story. They were convincing to me. So if I could see these people on tape, they might be convincing to me as well prior to a trial.
Now, to be fair, because I'm going to bring it all the way back to the beginning of the show. To be fair, a jury said they threw out taped confessionals because they feel that can be manipulated to lie.
Which jury?
The jury of the Central Park 5. Bring it all the way back.
Okay. You lost me. What's your point?
No, because you were saying you need to see videotape and they can convince you. And I'm saying, well, the jury said there was a videotape and it was unconvincing and they believed that they were lying.
Okay. So I take it you mean videotape doesn't always convey the truth of what people are thinking or saying?
Yes.
That's true. It doesn't change how I feel. I'm going to make my own judgment. But I'm just saying, you could look at this case one of two ways. I tend to side with, what's the young lady's name again? Boone.
Tiffany Boone.
I tend to side with her because I think no woman is going to bring this heat on herself without some sort of merit. I'm just saying,
And there was two women off of that show. Not
you
just
could
her.
easily say, I'm not going to be going after Lena Waithe because maybe her attitude when she was sticking up for a brother who hasn't been proven guilty and there's no evidence that was convincing to her. That's
well, again, that's in her own words. There was evidence. She admits to it, right?
What does she admit to?
I don't know why you keep forgetting. She says he had an issue with it, where she even confronts him about it.
About what? What did he do?
The misconduct on the set. The whole reason why she told him that it's got to be an HR situation. Her dance is to say it ain't in my hands. It's in HR. I knew that there was a problem, so I hired a black woman to oversee it, and then told them HR told me they're handling it. But again, my point is to say she admits that there was obviously something going on because she took action against it, but she decided to let the person that's saying they're abused quit, right? And said, we're going to ride with Jason. Okay. But she changes her mind, obviously, when the white women said, we don't want to work with them over here in a whole different production. And now they have to save face and fire. And I'm just saying, my point was to say, if you're a black woman in this business, they're probably not going to do anything when it happens to you. And I use this as an example in the R. Kelly situation as an example. They'll tell you everything, but once it's only just dealing with you, they're probably not going to do anything. And unfortunately, the two cases that I'm using have to deal with black men. I hate to say that, but that's just the facts. But once that black man decided to go say something to that white woman and that white man for whatever abuse they're saying he did, whether they're guilty or not, they just cut him off the rip. And then again, when your own manager, your agent, and the show cut you, obviously they're going, hey, we have to save face here. And when her own showrunner, the other black woman, I don't have her name, came out and put that Lena girl on blast. And that's why that Lena girl's coming out speaking now.
See, now if I really wanted to be on some shit, I would say the people over at CBS and that show Bull, they stand on code. And Lena Waithe was just trying to stay on code.
Well, fuck CBS, fuck Bull, and fuck Michael Weatherly.
Okay.
How about that?
Well, I hear what you're saying, but the thing is, Q, she can't be on code because out of her own mouth, she said she ain't got no control. Right. So,
and on top of that, she was on code
y'all know
until
the game.
she
Y'all know
was.
the game.
According to you,
are you a gang? What did you say?
Y'all know the game. Because if she gets in a jam, she's gonna say, "Well, I didn't really have control."
Yeah.
Going full well, she did.
So to back to your point, she was on code until the Netflix thing happened. Then she was like, okay, F it. Cause she like Mike was saying, Tiffany said, I'm gonna leave the show, and they were pretty much sorry to hear that. Season 3, Jason's gonna be here still. So she was on code.
Just like what's that Empire? They was on code with Jussie Smollett. Bring him back. We doing a season. What was it? Didn't they say they're doing another season with him?
Season 5. No, he's not. Right now, he now
he got written off the show, didn't he?
He didn't get written. No, he didn't get written off the show, but he wasn't in the season finale, and they haven't said if he's returning yet. And it's looking like he's not.
Well, that's because he did some more stupid shit.
And they canceled that show anyway, right?
But my bigger problem is, as I'm thinking about this, is, and even the Michael Weatherly is not Tom Cruise. He's not Keanu Reeves. He's not
he ain't nobody.
Robert Downey Jr. Jason Mitchell is not Denzel. He's not Will Smith. And what gets to me, this is letting me know, some people are going to be triggered when I say this. This is letting me know that Me Too and Time's Up ain't shit. Because if these mofos are still doing this sexual harassment, sexual misconduct on the set in the Me Too Time's Up era, and the studios and the production are pretty much standing by them, which they were, that lets me know they haven't had, in my opinion, no real impact. And if they're getting away with it, can you imagine what A-list box office drawing people are getting away with?
Are you saying fuck the Me Too movement simply because Michael Weatherly is still working?
No, I'm not saying fuck them. I said it's just showing that they have no fucking power.
Just because it's one guy?
It's two.
It's one guy with no fucking stroke. Like Ann said, this guy ain't Tom Cruise. He's not Keanu. He's not anybody heavy. He's on a middling, nothing happening CBS show, and they stood with him over who is arguably a bigger name in the industry. It's bullshit, man.
Yeah, and the thing where I'm getting to is the fact that these guys don't have the clout of these A-list film and TV celebrities, and they're being protected.
But so Jason not being protected. He got dropped.
He was protected. That's what I'm saying. He was protected. They've known about this since 2017.
Well, how long have they known about Harvey Weinstein?
How long have we known about it? The industry knew about it, and they protected him. We found out in 2017.
Harvey can write the checks, man. I mean, Weatherly and Mitchell don't have the type of power.
I'm not indicting Time's Up and Me Too movement. I'm not indicting. Yeah, I am indicting Jason Mitchell, Michael Weatherly. My indictment of is the Hollywood industry that's been paying lip service to Time's Up, Me Too, but yet since then this shit has occurred, and they were willing to keep it going. Showtime and Fox 21, who were willing to keep it going for season 3 with Jason Mitchell. CBS is like, yeah, we're gonna do another season with Michael Weatherly. They paid Eliza Dushku $9 million, and it's just letting me know that it's bullshit. It's bullshit.
A Big Sexy said you got to step out. Oh shit! Did he already leave?
I think he said he stepped out.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
And I'm on borrowed time too.
Okay, well we can wrap this thing up then here.
See, when Negroes get to talking, boy, I swear.
And the other thing that I find contradictory and BS from Lena Waithe is I'm trying to understand how is she able? She kept saying, I got this queer black showrunner. I did this. I got this. She kept saying multiple times throughout her interview with The Breakfast Club how she got the showrunner. But then when she's asked, well, why didn't you let Jason Mitchell go? Oh, I ain't got no power to do that. I can't fire people. I don't know. I ain't got that power. You have no idea how little power I got. And I'm just looking like, huh?
No,
somebody help me out on that.
She was dancing. I mean, that's how I look at it. I get why she's saying she's trying to save face. Is the reason why she went on the show. But, she's trying to protect herself. That's all it is.
That's not that hard to. I mean, I'm not going to hold her to that. Like when I was employed by production companies, I would suggest to people that I know who could be clients, I would say, why don't you come over here to this production company? And they would sign on as a client. But I would have no power over their budgets or anything like that, or when they would shoot, or if I would even be on the crew.
But Q, would you say you hired them?
I know how. That's just talk. Come on, man.
Wow. Okay, so you're calling me Drax, huh? So when she says she hired the showrunner, wait, so you're saying when she says she hired the showrunner, she decided to fix the problem by bringing in a queer black showrunner. She's not saying she really did.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you this. Now, I'm not in that end of the business. I'm penny ante compared to where she is, but I know for a fact that people will say, people will, maybe they'll get called and they'll say, we need you to edit in this one scene into my film. And the editor will be like, oh, okay, yeah. 2 months later, you'll see on that editor's reel or whatever, I did this film. That happens all the time.
Okay.
Or
I'm a
film. That is clearly, that happens all the time. And that's probably, that could be, I'm not saying it was what she meant. Maybe what she was on some bullshit, but she could have meant when she said, I hired, that just means she said, look at this guy's resume or this woman's resume. And that translates to her, I hired him. That happens all the time.
Okay. What I would like you to do is because you big on looking at the video and seeing how they say stuff to believe them. I would like you to watch the Breakfast Club interview and then please come back and tell me if you really think that she's just putting extras on it, as opposed to her saying that I did this. I hired this person.
That seems rational. At least you know what you're talking about. I mean,
no, because I'm just saying, because I get what you're saying. But if you watch the video, well, okay, actually, she's not on video. She's on the phone. But if you listen to what she's saying, I think you will come to the same conclusion I am, that she is saying that she was empowered to make that hire, that she specifically went and got that person to hire to run the show.
So, you know how sometimes when we, not the French we, but we get to talking, we get hype, and this shit sound real as hell when we talking.
For sure.
But okay, I'll listen to it.
Again, we have to keep it in the context, right? Because we do be niggas playing and talking, getting hype. But when you're under the shitstorm and you're trying to explain a volatile situation and you're trying to protect your money, you're probably not going to be hype, and everything you say is very calculated, because that's the whole reason she went on that show. I would think that she's not speaking in hyperbolic terms. She's calculatedly saying these terms because it was probably PR, whoever her team is. You need to say it like this. You're trying to save your career. You're not in a position to be up there talking crazy. So that's why I think when you have the context of why she is saying these things, whether or not she literally hired that person, she wants you to think that she did, right? And again, that's why I said she's dancing, because on one hand, she wants to insinuate that she has some power, but not to the point where she is the problem. She wants to excuse herself from the issue, but she wants to give you an example of, I did try to do something, but it's not my fault. So again, whether she's speaking in hyperbolic terms or not, I would think in the context of where she's speaking, she wouldn't, because again, you're only coming up there to play the game. I just think she's playing the game. She's dancing. But again, it sounds crazy because you can't say you had some control and then say you didn't. But they want you to think, they want you to be stupid, and she wants you to have sympathy for her. So this is why she's saying these things. I just feel like, again, black women, though, and they've shown you time and time again, you're the lowest thing on the totem pole for them. They're not going to take action because you said so. And unfortunately, you have to be aware of that. And it's a shame that it was one of our own people that sort of fell into that, right? Because now when she was exposed, right? The story came out, and now they show that, oh, actually, you guys fired that, or you fired her way before you let him go. You only let him go because of this other situation happened. And that's a white publication telling you that, Variety. Because the whole impetus of this thing started with the Netflix thing, not with the issues he had on set with Tiffany. They had already let her go. And they were they was ready to film season 3 as if nothing happened. And it would have stayed that way if he hadn't got fired from this Netflix thing and it forced their hand to save face on it. That's why it looks crazy. And for Jason's part, they'll sacrifice him. When it becomes a liability, they will sacrifice him then. They'll be like, damn, the money, we're not. That's why I said, when your manager and your agent decide to bow out, because they're going to get paid off everything you do, they'll usually ride with you and just get you some other gig. But as they said, nope, we were okay if it was just the sister gig, but you ain't going to go on no white woman talk. We can't stand by that. We work in this industry. You crazy? Nigga, get out of here. Just go to straight. Don't. So as I said last episode, when you are African Americans, you can't play them games. Dealing with is he innocent? They'll take the loss. They're not playing with you. They'll do, what's the dude you bring up, Q, the Michael something?
Michael Weatherly.
They'll let Michael Weatherly get away, but I guarantee they're probably not going to let you get away with it, unless you might be Denzel or some super big dude, possibly. But even Bill Cosby didn't get away with it, so I don't know why you think you would. And your abusers will just be casualties of the game, like Tiffany. She was a casualty. They was willing to let business as usual go. Damn her.
So what you're saying is they're not going to let us get away with it because we're black, right?
Well, only if it doesn't become a liability to them.
Okay.
Just like what R. Kelly. He wasn't a liability to them. So damn those other girls getting abused. We gonna make this money. Now when it gets exposed and it's getting to the Me Too era, well, you can't be seen to be in business with R. Kelly after this exposure. So Sony cut him off. Then they have to, we don't want nothing to do with it. But they had no problem for the last 15 years. They had no problem with it. But again, they're not changing because they care about black women. They're changing because the atmosphere has changed, and they're not going to be taking no liability costs with you. He ain't worth it at this point. They done made all their money they can make off of him.
Oh, okay. I'm just making a note. They won't let us get away with it because we're black. Okay.
Oh, okay. If you take the simple term, I can accept that.
Those words will come back to haunt you.
Hey, I'm here to be haunted, baby.
All right.
It ain't about a haunting or coming back to get somebody. It's what I said, If things change, so be it. I can accept that. All right. I know you got to go, so we're going to wrap it up and get up out of here. Mr. QStorm, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me on REELQStorm.com. I just put up a review. I can't even remember the movie. Oh, Brightburn. I just did a review of Brightburn. Check that out. If you want to go check out LWAG before that becomes non-existent, you can go to lwagarms.com. Actually, no. Go to LWAG Arms on YouTube, and according to my my brothers here, they're saying I can change all that. It will be changed to Strong Side Defense within the next month. And you can also check me out, me and Big Sexy, on Red Shirts, a Star Trek podcast. Just Google that. You'll see me on Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, whatever. Check us out.
All right. Oh, and Poop.
So what you're saying is the incoming LWAG fire sale is coming up on merchandise? Or you going to send it to Africa?
I got some shirts.
Hilarious.
I got some shirts.
I can see some of those African boys running around with an LWAG shirt. Where'd you get that?
Hold on. That always, it makes me laugh every time when you go to these poor countries, right? And they be having T-shirts be saying Nike and Polo on. I'm like, damn, that on some cargo boat, and they threw that shit out, and people just grabbing at it. Just, oh man, no, that's not gonna happen. You're not gonna see no LWAG on anybody outside of. It's gonna get burnt. I'm burning it.
Wow, why you can't help the young Africans out?
Here's
how
clothes. I'm trying to get these people
when they
shot.
see us. When they see us.
Shit, you put on something that says firearms in an African country.
I can somewhat see that. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Pooh, and next week you'll find me, if anyone in Los Angeles area or coming to travel, at the Hollywood Palladium for EA Play. First gameplay of Jedi Fallen Order.
All right.
I still haven't mastered Star Wars Battlefront. I cannot play that shit, man. Killed in 10 seconds when I turn the game on.
Yeah, that happens. You get to that age, reflexes is just not the same.
Why are you?
Wow.
Them 12-year-olds be messing me up. I'm like, what the? I just walked 2 spaces. God.
And my son be like, "You right there, Dad. You're right there. Where, kid?"
Man, suck.
Give me. What's that game we played back in the day with the Space Invaders? That's me.
Wow.
Galaga Centipede.
So what you're saying is that real world pistol training doesn't help you in the virtual world.
Oh no.
Clearly, it doesn't.
All right. Well, definitely check us out, podcastjuice.net. Actually, you can check me out next week. If you're going to be in Minneapolis, I'd invite you to come to the Minnesota History Center on Thursday between 10 and noon. I will be hosting Prince from Minneapolis to the World, and we're going to have a lot of great people there, Prince's family. There's been a presentation and a panel, Q&A, and then we also got some people Skyping in or video in from the UK. We'll have some scholars from BBC Radio as well. So it should be a good event. And it's all a part of the First Avenue exhibit they have there at the museum. And of course, it's Prince's birthday this week. So definitely, if you're in town, holla at me there. I will be there in town. Also, as we said at the beginning of the show, check out our Discord chat. There's the show notes. You'll find the link. So if you like the Discord or the conversation here on the podcast, believe you me, we'll get into it every day of the week on that chat. And it's just a good way to, click in with us and catch up. So definitely we invite you to that. Also, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll say something. If you want to join in, just make sure you got your receipts, because there's some motherfuckers on the chat. You can't say nothing without backing it up.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah. If you're trying to claim facts, you talking shit, prepared to get dealt with, leave your feelings at the door, because they're having a good in their feelings in that one. Trust you, trust me. But anyway, if you go to our website podcastjuice.net, check out the gear. We have our Work It Like a Job T-shirts, our Podcast on Prince T-shirts, and some other stuff. Please go ahead and grab yours, and when you do, send me your picture. We'll put you on our social media feeds and shout you out. Yo, as I always say, work it like a job. We'll see you next time. Peace.